episode of Saints Talk. Thank you guys for joining. As always, I'm your host, Kevin Washington, here with the man behind NewOrleans.Football himself, Nick Underhill. Nick, what's up, man? What's up? What's up? We ain't got nothing to talk about this week.
There's nothing at all going on this week. we got to make it up again. Yeah, it's gonna be forced again.
Hey, this is about to be the quickest pod ever. So, to the people viewing, you guys can just don't go to the bathroom or nothing because you leave and it's over, man. So,
this could probably end up being the longest one in history if we really wanted it to be, but it ain't gonna be. But it could be,
man, dude. So I was thinking about it. I was like, man, this pod could end up being ridiculous, and we got to keep it within a minute and 1 hour and 16 minutes. So it goes over
is that all we got left on the plan?
Yeah, anything over that, we're gonna have to divide the pod up or something. So all right, man. Well, shout out to chat, shout out to Byron, Tevin, JC, 985, Andre, everybody that's shouting us out in chat. Thank you guys for joining. We always like when you guys just kind of join us live. It gives it a little bit different experience. And, this stuff is not possible without you guys. You guys keep NewOrleans.Football running and everything like that. So, yeah, we just want to thank you guys as always. Let's talk some football. So I don't know where to start, but I do know where to start. We got to start with Drew. So I'm going to let you take a blank slate here. You've been covering him. You've spoken to him. Just kind of reflect on it a little bit. I think it's fitting that we start the pod off by kind of, reflecting on his career and his retirement.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess the thing I would say about Breeze, the thing that stands out to me when I kind of think about him is that he's kind of the guy that showed this city what it's like to have a winner.
Yeah,
he allowed the team to have expectations. I don't think before Breeze that there were ever really, at least not sustained expectations, maybe singular season expectations, but not sustained expectations. And he allowed people to forget how hard it is to field a winning team. And he ended up sticking around long enough to remind everybody how hard it is to consistently win and to get there. And, he allowed there to be disappointment where there used to just be, happiness that somebody got into the Pro Bowl. And he allowed people to feel resentment about things that happened and extreme highs and extreme lows. And he just changed everything. And not just, on the football field. I think he meant, a ton to everybody here post Katrina. He was a symbol of hope for a city that needed hope. And
yes.
He provided that. And look, he wasn't a perfect human being. He wasn't a perfect player either, but, there was more good than bad on a lot of fronts. And, I just think he changed his team in the city forever in ways that I'm not sure that, at least running parallel, I'm not sure that anybody could have done both things the same way he did. And, I think for that, he's forever, a New Orleans legend, unrivaled. And, that's kind of just where my head goes when I kind of think about, Drew hanging it up.
Yeah, no, I think you put it pretty perfectly. I mean, he's like New Orleans royalty for life, and his kids and his kids' kids and his kids' kids' kids. That whole family is pretty much royalty down there. And being someone who, was born there, and I consider it my city. I didn't grow up there, but I always consider New Orleans my city. What he did to, change the culture, because the Saints are New Orleans. It's not like they're not two separate entities. They're one and the same. It's they should change the name of the city to New Orleans Saints, right? Because the team is so intertwined in the city. And so, when you speak about him and what he did, starting the 2006 season, and man, I remember being so hurt that they lost that game to the Bears. In that playoff. And I was thinking oh man, next year we got it. Didn't work out too well. 2008 was that. And then the Super Bowl. And that was the craziest thing to me, right? Because I was about to go to Mexico before that Super Bowl. And I was like, if they lose the Super Bowl, I don't want nothing to do with Mexico. Forget the trip. It's not even worth it. I'm not going to be able to enjoy it. And I'm not going to say why I was going to Mexico. That's not important. But, and just from then on, man, it was this winning culture. And I don't think the expectations would be what they are, he's retired, and we expect them to still be a good team. I don't think Sean Payton would be here, or maybe still. I don't think he would still be here if he wasn't here. Maybe Mickey Loomis is not still the GM. So there's so many things that happen that are, they as are, they are as they are as a result of him being on the team, like the winning seasons, like I said, the expectations, the winning culture, all that stuff. So that's the football side. I'm not even gonna get into the other side, some of the charity work he's done. I mean, the dude lives like right. Everyone knows where he lives in New Orleans. It's not like he's like some hidden guy, right? So shout out to Drew, shout out to the career that he had. Thank you for making Saints football like more relevant than it's ever been. I don't have nothing bad to say about you. Yeah, man. Thanks for the, man, what was this? 2006, 15 years? Or yeah, thanks for the years, man. It was yeah, it was a ride. So hopefully we can find Drew part 2. And we'll see how that goes, because yeah, we're gonna need it. So thanks, Drew. So let's get into some of the happenings of this week. Man, it's kind of like let's just stick with the quarterback, man. Let's stick with the quarterback. So Jameis Winston re-signed with the Saints for, I'm just going to call it a 1-year, $5.5 million deal. Right. I mean, that's kind of what it is. I mean, they got the incentives, and we'll see how that stuff turns out. But, just talk about that deal. What did that number mean to you? What is this, like, what did that tell you about his signing? What do you think is going to happen there? Just kind of take that topic and run with it, because I think we got some thoughts there.
Oh, man. So,
I know, man. I know. I know. I just threw you the lob.
The money. So, yeah, I mean, starting with the money, 5.5. I think that number's somewhat telling, and I think it's emblematic of everything that we said immediately when he signed, that they had this huge advantage, and that nobody else was going to know what he was going to be able to do. Mm-hmm. The world saw him throw 11 passes. Those 11 passes, came in emergency duty. They were what they were. I don't think they were anything that changed any thoughts about anything. So basically, he's this hidden guy that's been on the team for a year, and they're the only ones that know. And for someone to come in and make him this significant offer that was going to entice him to leave a situation where he's been building chemistry with his teammates, learning the offense and all that, I think it was a fantasy. I just don't think that you go from 1.1 million to, what would it have taken to pry him out of here? Like if you're Jameis, like I think you aren't
Chicago
leaving
was in the play, right? Chicago was like one of the teams that was showing interest in him, I guess.
Yeah, but like even then, like. I think if I'm Jameis, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm going to do 1 year. I'm going to give it my best shot, and then I'm going to get my money. And if you're going to do that, it's got to be here. I don't think somebody was going to pay him enough to give up the comfort that he had here. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody was promising him, an outright starting job anywhere either. You come in, you're the guy, here's the money, you're good to go. He wasn't getting the Teddy Bridgewater deal is what I'm saying. So I think coming back was the smart thing for him to do. The offer started at $3 million. He got it up to 5.5. With incentives, it can go to 12.5. On the other hand, it's $5.5 million, and that doesn't guarantee him to be the week 1 starter. I don't think it precludes the Saints if, say, someone becomes available, a team drafts a player and now they want to get rid of their starter. I don't think it precludes that from happening.
I don't think
whoever,
somebody, yeah.
They bring in Mitch Trubisky, and what if Mitch lights it up? Like, I'm just saying it could be anybody.
Can we bring back the Pusha T soundbite that we used to have?
It could be Jimmy G, Teddy, whoever, one of these guys that shakes free. They could bring him. Like, I just don't think 5.5 stops you from having it. Doesn't put blinders on.
Absolutely.
You're still, oh, what's happening over here? Oh, I like this. Like, I'll bring it in. Right. So
that's funny.
I think that their options remain open, but I do think that the most likely scenario is that him and Taysom go into camp to compete. One of them is the starter, but but I guess what I'm driving at here is that the commitment wasn't significant enough to where I think he's locked in or guaranteed anything. I think they like him. I think everything Sean said about him is true.
Yeah.
But I do think that he's got to go in. He's got to win the job, and that's it. But I think the upside for him is significant. I think the upside for the Saints is significant. This is a good deal for both parties. They get to test each other out.
Yes.
If Jameis does the job, he does everything we think he possibly could do. He becomes, cashes in on everything. Then the Saints sign him and they stole their next quarterback. If everything works out in the perfect scenario. But there's a lot that has to happen for that perfect scenario to come to fruition. And I think the deal is emblematic of the distance that still needs to be traveled.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Hey guys, while we're on Jameis Winston, if you guys look on the screen right there, there's a $10 off on an annual plan. So there's a code. Go to NewOrleans.Football if you're not subscribed, and pick a tier.
Show some love. Let's get some sign-ups during the show. Live show. Sign up. Get the shout out. Show love.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I just found someone in chat I just found someone in chat that can go do that. This guy walking around with my last name, acting like he's kin to me. Who is this kid with my last name? No, shout out my little brothers in here. So I got to give him a hard time because that's what big brothers do. He's not a medium shirt wearer. So, but yeah, to your point about Jameis, and again, guys, they go to code on the screen. Just go sign up. I promise you, it's worth it. Like my guy Underhill. Oops, I just changed the chat. My guy Underhill has some people coming, hitting him up from a national podcast, asking him to explain like the Saints salary cap, and he was like just rattling off like this I had to slow the part down where you was talking about like how they can sign a guy to a whatever signing bonus, make it a roster bonus, restructure it the next year, divide it over the next few years. I was like, man, like, is he like rattling this off the top of his head, or is he just showing out? So regardless, man, shout out to it. So it's worth it, guys. Go check it out. But back to Jameis, I think, man, when the Dan Patrick interview came up today, and you tweeted me, you text me a tweet of like a snippet of the interview that they promote and whatnot. And on two different occasions, like Sean said a lot in that like 1 minute and 49 seconds. He was like, yeah, he's the guy. We got the guy. Oh yeah, but we're going to make some calls and we're going to like be looking at some other stuff. So it was like, okay, we got these guys here. We believe in them, but guess what? We're still out in the streets. Like we still out here. We're still looking, like you said, oops, a quarterback. When Drew was here, it was like, and I'm stealing your analogy that you made during the Ringer podcast. You guys can go listen to that too. Nick was on there today. Ringer NFL is the podcast. It was pretty good. He was like, when Drew was there, you could just have your blinders on, right? You don't see nothing in your peripheral. He's your quarterback. Everybody, and nothing else matters. Now that you don't have that guy, you always got to be looking for him. So, until you have a franchise quarterback, you're always going to be looking for him. Can Jameis be that guy? I think so. I'm saying that because I want Jameis Hive to come at my neck again. Shout out to Jameis Hive. I don't want no problems, but yeah, I do. But I do think the commitment, the financial commitment, tells you, a little bit about it, right? And I think they have some questions, and I think that's a fair take on it, because if Jameis blew it up during practice and you had this secret weapon, like he would have probably not made it to free agency, and if he did, he'd have made more. So I do think that there's some more that they need to see from him, but I do think it was the right move for them and Jameis to to get this deal done, because this gives him the best chance to be successful, and I think he gives them, and this is my early take on it, like I think he gives them the best chance to be successful.
You think so? I know you like Taysom. Like, I know you're a Taysom guy. Like,
I am. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I am.
You were telling me earlier today that you thought he was like the next Aaron Rodgers. So
that's how.
How far? Jokes aside, like, how far ahead do you actually think? Like, if put a number on him, like what's Taysom, what's Jameis? Like, how far of a distance do you think?
On a 1 to 10?
1 to 10, 1 to 100, whatever scale you're comfortable with.
So let's hit the baseline. Drew is a 10.
Yep.
All right. I'd probably say Taysom is a. Gosh, that's a tough question.
It is.
Yeah.
It's kind of cruel.
Yeah, because I do it to you all the time, and now I'm feeling like I feel like I got to get you back in this pod. 6. I think saying he's half the quarterback Drew is fair. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a 6. Yeah, I think maybe 6. What do I think Jameis is? Probably a 6.1.
So you think it's that close between the two?
I don't know, because I don't know what Jameis is. Like, that's the problem. Like, I have no idea what Jameis, like, what growth he's shown. I get the feeling. So here's what I'll say. I think he's above Taysom.
For sure.
I think he's above Taysom. I don't know how much, right? I know that Sean values accuracy a lot. And with Taysom, if it's there and he sees it, like, he's gonna complete the pass. I can give him that. And with Sean Payton being the coach, calling the plays, like, more than often than not, the play design is gonna help him out, right? And then he can run if it doesn't work out, which he didn't do enough, which is weird. But from listening to Coach Payton, I think that he values Jameis a little bit more than Taysom. So that's what makes me say that he's above. And even players like Cam Jordan went to Morton Anderson's podcast and was like, Jameis is the guy, because Sean said
yeah, I mean, that's the thing though. They react off the stuff he says in the interviews. I don't know that anybody's like really like confiding in the play, you know what I mean? Yeah,
I agree with that. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like the players want it to be Jameis too. That's what I'm saying. I've heard a couple of players like mention that Jameis is gonna be the guy. So it's just all of these signs that make me think he's ahead. And that's fair. But I just don't know how much. And so I can just only go like 0.1, because I hopefully he's at least as accurate as Taysom was this past year. Right. Because I think that would be like a big deal. And the second thing is, can he just, fix 40 plays a year? Even just 30. Can you just change 25, 30 plays a year? So I've seen Jameis do it at a level where, I feel like he has potential here, because like Jameis like made some of the worst throws in the NFL, but he also made some of the best. Like, the difficulty on some of those throws that he was making in Tampa was ridiculous, right? The problem with Jameis is he doesn't have any concept of the second level of an NFL defense, right? Like a linebacker lurking underneath for a robber. Like, he just doesn't even know they exist. He just like doesn't pay attention to that level, right? So if he can get that cleaned up, and I think scheme will help him a little bit, dialing it back a little bit, not taking chances, having a defense where you don't have to take all these risks. I think all that's going to help him. So if he can clean that part up, he doesn't need to be Drew, right? He just needs to be Jameis in this offense, and I think that'll be good enough.
So yeah, I mean, I don't really know like how I would rank either one. I'm not going to put a score on them, but here's the thing that I'll say.
Wait a minute, what?
I think the only number that I think matters is really the ceiling on where they can get, and I think Jameis could reach like an 8.5, and I don't think Taysom could hit that point. I don't think his ceiling is everything goes right. Theoretical Taysom is, whatever. But like the realistic version, the realistic version, I don't think he's hitting that. And I think Jameis could. And it's just a handful of plays. It's the interceptions. It's seeing linebackers lurking underneath in zone coverage and, not dropping the ball where they can just, can rob it. And, it's just those little things. It's not fumbling when he gets hit. That's both guys though. But like you said, it's can you clean up X amount of plays? And I think Sean alone is going to scheme some of that stuff out. He isn't going to take the same chances. When Cutter was the coach, he wasn't as, just vulnerable is the word I guess I would use. He wasn't as exposed. And I think Sean will take that to a different level. The big deal with Jameis too, early on in Tampa Bay, is that I think he tried to do a little too much. I remember watching Hard Knocks, and they were trying to get him to check down, and it was a little bit of a struggle to get him to make the safe play. And I think Sean, he isn't back here
if you don't do that.
Yeah, he ain't back here for year 2 if that's already an issue. But I do think one knock on Taysom too is that he kind of made. See, I think if Taysom were to win the job, I think the second stand would be a little bit different than the first. I think there'd be some things that I don't think that he would make Alvin as one-dimensional. I think there would be a concerted effort
absolutely.
So some of those things would change, but
he would run more. He would definitely run more.
Well, we would like to think, but
man,
that shouldn't have been a problem to begin with. Like that made no sense.
It should be in his nature to run too. It's almost like, it kind of reminded me of Teddy. Remember when Teddy came out of Louisville and he didn't want to be known as a running quarterback. He was like, I'm a pocket quarterback, I'm a thrower. And like he was like head set on it, right? Which I get, but because at the time, running quarterback wasn't as big as it is now. But it's something in my head saying like Taysom just kind of wants to show that he's a pocket quarterback. And I'm like, it's okay, man. You can run. It's fine. The play's broken down. Like run 3 yards and make it a positive play. So,
hey, shout out to Brennan Walker. He donated a annual plan to give out. So I'm gonna scroll through. I'm gonna pick someone out here, and then if somebody buys an annual plan, I'll match it and up their plan to an elite. So do that. So we're doing that again. So get on that.
Whoever you pick whoever you pick, his last name better not be Washington.
Honestly, at the end, I'm gonna scroll through the comments stream and like wherever the mouse stops, like that person's gonna get it, all right. That's how we'll do it.
Don't pick him.
Yeah. Hey, if he leaves a comment and that's where it hits. But yeah, we aren't gonna have any insider fiction here. So
I'll never hear the end of that, by the way.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
so you think Jameis can be at 8.5 if Drew's a 10? And you think that's his absolute ceiling?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, look, he can do everything, and maybe he can push it higher. I don't know. I just think that when I watch Jameis and I think about you take away all the stuff, and there's a reasonable level of like interceptions that are like he's never gonna have like a 35-4 season, like 35 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
And Drew wasn't doing that until like the last few years anyway. Drew was going like 10 to 15. So
right.
We can live with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, Drew's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like maybe Jameis gets there and he becomes a 10. Like I'm just saying, like I think that like this season, if everything went right, I think 8.5 is kind of where my mind's eye goes. Is the absolute peak performance. I don't know. Where do you put it at?
I mean, his ceiling. I mean, see, I'm trying to like base his ceiling. I'm trying to figure out what to base his ceiling off of. Is it his talent, or how much do I take into account what I've seen? Right? Because if you're talking his talent, 10, right? I mean, he was the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, I just don't think that he comes out and he's Peyton Manning in 2021 under any.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about absolute ceiling. Like you talking about this year, or like
I'm saying like this upcoming season, like the realistic.
Okay. Oh man, yeah, I think the absolute ceiling is probably like a 8. If he gets to 8.5, woo, you stole a quarterback.
Yeah,
like you straight up like committed robbery, right?
He gets 8.5, and everybody stays healthy, and they plug a couple of these holes. Like they're good. Yeah, I mean, they're where they were at last year.
Let me ask you this. I got a good question for you. All right. So
I don't think Drew was an 8.5 last season. That's not a knock on Drew. Drew was hurt. He had 11 broken ribs, 1 lung, messed up foot, all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, man,
that's a good point. I'm with that.
Yeah,
I'm with that. So here's a question for you. So I think Jameis in his last year that he started for Tampa, he was averaging like I think he had like 5% turnover worthy plays, just like ridiculous, right? Highs in the NFL. If he can fix that, right, and just get that down, let me simplify the question. If he fixes the turnovers, how close to that 8.5 is he? Is that 8.5 for you him just fixing the turnovers, or is it more to it? Like where does it land?
Yeah, I think it's mostly a turnover issue, honestly. I mean, everything else, I think if you take that away, it takes care of itself. There's the big plays. He moves the ball. Look, they got passed for 5,000 yards. Like it isn't like you're trying. Mitch Trubisky throws for 200 yards a game. Like that is you aren't trying to take a pop gun and turn it into a shotgun. Like he's a shotgun. You just need to make sure that like.
Why are you bringing up Aaron Rodgers?
It's just you just need to make sure he's hitting the targets, and it's not he's just not shooting blind at everything out here. So I don't think that's the issue. It's just some of the decision making, seeing the field a little bit, not throwing picks, and just being smart and conservative when being smart and conservative is the right way to go, and then being smart with your risk when being smart with the right risk is the right way to go. Like. I thought one of the most interesting things that during training camp is, they run these 3-level route concepts, and that's one of the foundational elements of the Saints offense, and is deep route, intermediate, short. And they go through their reps. Every guy gets 8 passes, and Drew's real quick hitting Alvin, real quick hitting Alvin, real quick hitting Alvin. And you see Taysom, kind of spread it out a little bit. And the same concepts, like Jameis is hitting these passes, these post routes between the safety and the cornerback down the sideline. And it's like, it was just
you can tell
illuminating. Yeah, he's a little bit different than the other guys, and he can hit these throws that other guys can't throw. And you don't have to change anything for him. You can run the same offense, but it can look significantly different. Because his ability to make a read, allow a play to develop, to get the ball out there. He can hit throws that to guys where maybe everything isn't necessarily super precise and crisp. Where I think for Drew to hit a post on the sideline,
it's got to be right.
and 0.8, 0.9 seconds, every single element of that has to be coming together right. So he keeps his eyes on it for 0.3 more seconds. Ball's coming out. All that, like Jameis can wait, and then Traquan's hitting the break, and the cornerback slipped a little, or he rounded off on the break, and now you're hitting it. Like Drew at the end wasn't able to do that.
Timing, because the timing had to be perfect, right? Yeah. Jameis can just put a little bit more hot sauce on it.
Taysom could too. Like Taysom could do some of those things too. And you saw that last year in the games. Like that, some of these guys were getting passes that they normally wouldn't get. But Jameis is
he's a different animal. Because Taysom has a plus arm. Jameis got like an arm. He doesn't have like a Josh Allen arm, because no one does, but he has way more than enough arm to make any throw like in an NFL.
He's a young dude with good arm strength. Yes. Yeah.
Great arm
There's
strength.
No deteration. Yeah. No.
Yeah, he has great arm strength. Like if it was just an arm issue, I'm signing him long term, right? Because he can like dude can throw, right? He's a natural thrower of the football, and he has a baseball background. And those guys just tend to throw it a little bit different than normal guys. Mahomes is one of those baseball guys. It's just I don't know what they're teaching these baseball players and when they transition to football, but it's working. So yeah, I think
he works with Tom House too. The Tom House guys,
Jameis works with Tom House.
It's the 3D QB, yeah. So,
okay,
the Tom House,
company. Yeah. That's good because
actually the guy that actually works with Jameis, it's interesting. So he used to be a quarterback. He worked out with Breeze, and working out with Breeze, just like as a player, inspired him to become a coach. Now he's coaching Jameis. So like in a weird way that like the Breeze influence is going to live on. And
there you go, Jameis, Drew, the gift that keep on giving. Help, Drew. Help, because we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, so I think that if he cleans up the turnovers, I think that probably puts him like an 8, maybe. I think there's a little bit meat on the bone for him to get to the last stretch. I would like to, I would like to see consistent accuracy. I would like to see him, like even if he's not turning the ball over, there's still an aspect of like making the right play, right? Like, because you want to. I prefer to have a quarterback that's too aggressive and dial him back than have a guy who just won't turn it loose. Like Derek Carr was one of those guys. Like he just wouldn't throw the ball for a while.
Well, look, you got it right here with the team. Like the mentality of Taysom staying in the pocket and not running when he needs to. You got to teach him when to run, when to read it and make that decision. And if you're being too conservative, it's hard to get out of that. You're trying to teach someone not to be. I don't want to use the word scared, but like you're trying to teach them not to be overly cautious. I think that's a little bit harder. But look, you could have the same issues dialing it back, but I don't know. I don't think that Jameis would have those issues. And I think maybe if he ever did, and I don't think he did, but if he ever did have those issues, being coached to be overly aggressive and playing into that, throwing 30 interceptions, losing your job, not being able to find a job as a starter, making $6.6 million over 2 years as the number one, a few years away from being a number one pick.
Right.
I think that the consequence of okay, need to do this another way would have kicked in by now. And I don't know that he needed that kick, but I'm just saying.
No, that's right. That's a good point.
In the world that would live through that would be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Obviously, he came here. He took $1 million. He wanted to be with Sean. He wanted to learn from Sean. He wanted to learn from Drew. obviously his mentality is in the right place for that.
I'm with you. Yeah, because if it's like the guy who like just comes to work late and got fired twice, and it's like,
Yeah.
if I want to have a job, then I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
start coming to work on
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
you
I
were
need
like,
to set my clock 10 minutes early. Yeah.
right. So I'm gonna need to start going to bed early, and it's crazy because, like, I think everybody that has been around the guy, they just talk about how smart he is, like football wise, like from day one. Like all I heard was about how football smart he is.
They called him Peyton Manning coming into the league. Like people were making like Peyton
Exactly,
Manning.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, it was
Yes.
crazy. Like Peyton Manning with a bigger arm. That was the talk,
Yeah.
right? He was like that guy, and I mean, he's a little up. He's a little awkward body, like if we're being real. Jameis just look weird, bro. He's just a little goofy, man. I want him to be great, but he's just sorry, Jameis Hive. Let me stop because I don't want that smoke. But I just think with him it's more about like just making the right plays. Like say for instance, like people will talk about Drew being like this check down guy, right? Check down. It's like touchdown to check down, and like all he does is check it down. I'm like, yeah, he checks it down. You know why? Because he's going through his progression so dang fast that he can eliminate what's not going to be there instantly and get the ball to the check down quicker for them to make a play out of it, right? The longer you wait to get it to the check down, the lower the chance for them to get some more, get more yards after catch with it or make a positive play. So, that's what I want to see from him. Like, I know he's going to make some throws in training camp, and you're going to text me and I'm going to get excited, right? Because that's just who he is. But like, I want to see him like make the right check down, right? Read a defense, read an underneath defender who's lurking, right? That's the type of stuff. Like when I start seeing that from him, that's when I'm going to feel like, wow, okay, like he's starting to clean up some of those issues. Because I think just playing for Sean Payton, you're not going to throw a lot of interceptions like that. But we'll see. And we both got a text message. I'm like, what just happened? But yeah, okay. All right. So Jameis. So let's get into some of these moves that happened. I have to write them all down because there's so many. Let's get into the Janoris.
Let's start with Jackrabbit. Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with him. So they released him, and I'm just gonna go over the information that you gave me because I'll be stealing from you. And that's what we do. That's what I do. They only saved like 1.5 from releasing him.
Well, no. I mean, they saved 7. They could have restructured and saved like 5.6. So it was like they could have kept them for $1.5 million more than they.
Better said. Yeah, that's way better than I said. I was gonna confuse a lot of people. so yeah, and they chose to let him go. They have shown interest in some potential Hall of Fame cornerback. We'll get into that later. But what's your thoughts on that release? And I think we both agree that's probably like the most significant player who was on the team last year who probably won't be here this year, potentially. Maybe Trey Henderson. Yeah, you got it.
Sorry. What was that last part? The most significant part?
I said he may be the most significant player like that they lost this year on the team. Like the player who's not there. I mean, not Drew Brees, obviously. I'm just talking about like players who won't be on the team this year that was there last year. Obviously, Drew don't count.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't even think I'd put Trey in the conversation with Jackrabbit, or I'd probably put Emmanuel before him.
Yeah. I don't
want to get disrespectful, but yeah, no,
I'm with you. I don't want Henderson Hive all on my neck neither. There's Bengal fans in here, Y'all chill.
So yeah, love. the thing is like those numbers on Janoris, like that's just like a straight restructure too, like not the aggressive void years and all that. Like they could have got that number way down. So look, I said on the last pod, like if they let him go, that wouldn't be a move I would necessarily agree with, because I don't like the whole that you create a cornerback by cutting him. And they cut him, they got a big hole there. On the other hand, like you look at the savings, what they could have done. Yeah, regular restructure 1.5. You're pushing some money ahead, obviously. It's a deliberate decision not to bring him back. Like I don't think this is a pure cap move. And when you see them looking at Awuzie, Richard Sherman, other cornerbacks, I maybe in a normal year where you aren't getting the cap squeeze, you just keep Jackrabbit at his price and you keep going. But it seems we'll see if they actually sign somebody. But the interest in these other guys is maybe a little illustrative that it isn't just a pure cap decision, and that maybe it's you don't want to put all this money into a 30-something-year-old cornerback. And look, people are gonna say, well, Sherman, but like if you sign Sherman clean, like you aren't pushing money ahead, you aren't tying to it.
It's a different deal.
You can kind of do things a little bit differently. And I'm not in love with replacing one older guy with another older guy. Like if you're gonna spend the money, I'd rather it be a younger player, but at the same time, you can't have this hole on your roster. And
I mean,
2 years ago, Sherman was in, an elite cornerback. Like he had a very good season 2 years ago. He was hurt last year, so you'd see with that. But yeah, I don't know. Like we'll see how they plug the hole. Creating that hole at cornerback is slightly terrifying. Overall, I was a little bit surprised to see him get cut. This wasn't necessarily a move I was absolutely anticipating, but I guess you franchise Marcus Williams, you got to come up with that money. And the other thing I think that we did with our analysis of the situation is that I kind of looked at it like, oh, they'll extend Lattimore, Ramczyk, and like here comes $10 million, and they didn't do that. And I think it was smart.
It was
not to do that because you're giving up your leverage. And I was tweeting about this earlier. If you give up that leverage, the agent comes in and they say, well, like, why would we give you anything? You need this money. You need this money to keep these players. So you don't pay my guy, and now you're losing Janoris Jenkins and Emmanuel Sanders, and the Saints are basically like, bet we'll lose them. Like, come back. And now they're negotiating on a level playing field. So, if they can replace the holes, they get good players. They take this approach. They don't get killed in these negotiations. I think it's all potentially smart, but the key to it is plugging the hole. And if you don't plug the hole, I think it's a big deal. I think out of all the moves they made individually, one of one, the only one where I was like, wow, this might change how I look at the team, that was the one. And the other ones, I think the cumulative effect of, okay, their depth, they got to do this, they got to do that. This could hurt, that could hurt. They can still plug those holes, but a 1-for-1 move, the only one where I was like, that might change how I would predict our record, is that hole at cornerback. And I think you're on mute. I seen you try to chime in a few times, and I never heard you. So
no, I'm good. I'm locked and loaded. You can hear me? Oh, am I muted? Am I muted? Can you guys hear me in chat? Chat, can you hear me?
You're good.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah, that was weird. So I think that one thing that stands out is that both of the cornerbacks that they've been linked to, Rashard coached both of them. So I just wonder like how much, and I would like to, like, what do you think about it? Like, do you, I'm pretty sure they maybe had their I'm not saying he came in and said, all right, I don't want this guy, as the cornerback, but like, how much do you think him coming in as the DB coach maybe had to do with them? I don't know. Like I said, I mean, it's a big hole, but the two guys they've been linked to, he's coached them both, right? He's coached Richard Sherman, he's coached Awuzie in Dallas. So I think, maybe they saw that position maybe a little bit different than I did. I'll be honest, because I thought he was, I'm not saying I thought he was like Pro Bowl, but I thought he was like, hey, you don't have a weakness over there at the number 2 corner.
Hey, you got to run the clock, man. I got something going on over here.
Oh, okay.
We got a live broadcast issue.
Oh, okay. No, it's all good. It's all good. So, but look, as it pertains to the cornerback position, I think that it's a big hole, right, for the team. Like, no question, they gotta figure out something about that. But I kind of feel like they have a plan with it, because when you look at, like I said, the guys that they've been linked to, both of them played for Rashard. So, and Richard Sherman, I know you guys probably have seen it on Twitter, and Coach Payton had this, I guess him and Richard Sherman, I'm not sure if it was the year they played against each other or whatnot, but he was like, hey, congrats on like, a legendary playoff run or something along those lines. And then Richard Sherman, kind of tweeted back at him. So he's got this like, little buddy love friendship, maybe something similar to me and my co-host with Richard Sherman. So we'll see. But I'll say this about Sherman. I'm not saying he's like still Richard Sherman. Let me just be like very clear about this, because I don't think he's still the same player. But I do think that he still has some football left in him, right? I still think he has. Now he's go. Yeah, I think he still has some football left in him. So he's a different type of cornerback than Jenkins is. He's bigger. Jenkins he's a smaller guy. He's probably a little bit quicker in and out of his breaks. Sherman is a taller, lankier corner. He would probably, I know, like before, say if you had a smaller cornerback, you would probably put Marshawn on him, and then Jenkins would take a taller cornerback. Marshawn would be on him. Jenkins would take the smaller guy. If you bring in Richard Sherman, I can maybe see that being switched up a little bit, because Sherman, like I said, being like a tall, lanky guy who doesn't, switch directions, with the best of them, I guess he would be someone I would maybe, consider putting on the bigger cornerback. So we'll see how this plays out. I think that's the one move that I think they have to address.
Everything. You gotta holler at Apple, because this 2 weeks in a row, man. The AirPods fell, man. So
hey, man, look, you gotta.
Your one boss is messing with the other boss, man.
Listen, man, I don't know anything about no Apple. Hey, listen, you got to go analog, man. I just got to go with old Betsy here. I just rock out with it. So, but yeah, guys. So that's how I kind of see the cornerback position. I think they have to address it. Ideally, they can get a vet signed, and even if they draft a rookie, listen, they all don't come in like Marshawn. That was like a unique situation, and if you're lucky, maybe you get it. But typically, those guys don't come in. They don't come out the box hot like that. So we'll see. But I do think that Sherman would be a good fit in his defense. Just one thing, he's smart as hell. And two, this is a good defense. So you don't need him to be Legion of Boom, Richard Sherman. You just need him to, be average. If he's average, that's fine, because he's coming to a defense with some talent. So we'll see how that turns out. And yeah, Keith Washington. I like the last name, but that wouldn't be my first choice for the starter. All right, Nick, you ready to rock on to this next topic, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
Got your new headphones in, looking like you about to jump in the recording booth.
About to operate an airplane.
Illmatic 3. All right, so let's go over some of the guys they released. They got oh yeah. They got a pick for Malcolm Brown, which is good. Like, that's better. So what are the cap implications of releasing him versus trading him?
Same deal. It clears about $5 million of space. So I think that's a pretty big win for them to basically get something for a guy that wasn't going to be on the team, and that basically the whole world knew wasn't going to be on the team. So
any debt money would there have been debt money if they released him, or was that all the guaranteed money?
A little bit that stays behind either way. That's just, the debt money's, they give a guy a signing bonus. So whatever's left on the contract for the signing bonus stays behind. That doesn't go to the team that's trading for him. So there was still a little bit left on that, and that stays behind. But yeah, I think that's a pretty big win for them. Look, I mean,
absolutely.
I do think losing him is again, I think that's a bit of a hit. I hurt your run a little bit, and I do think that's a, I don't know if you replace it all the way to his level, but it's replaceable to a reasonable facsimile. It might not be the on-field game jersey, but you can still get a pretty good stitched jersey that looks good to wear on Sundays. And I think you can do the same thing with the run stuff in DT. It's just if you're a team with money issues, spending $5-6 million on one down, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So you start doing that calculation, that's that's where the squeeze happens. And so the cumulative effect is iffy, but I think some of these guys, they had Tyler Davison in that spot. They had Tyler Davison in that spot a couple of years ago, and they had one of the top run defenses in the league. So I think they can find that guy again. Von Bell was a big part of that too at that point, run defense too. But they'll be okay. I think they can find a way to replace that. Yeah, no, that's a good take.
Emmanuel Sanders. I'm a little bit more worried about that one than you are. Yeah, I mean, you got Go ahead, because I'm in my feelings a little bit about the Sanders release, but you're like cautiously optimistic about about some of the guys they have on the roster.
Yeah, I think it becomes a bigger deal if Adam Troutman all of a sudden has no pass catch ability at tight end. But if Troutman's a decent pass catcher, the overall effect, I think you have decent enough weapons. Look, I think it's a spot that they could and should address should the right opportunity present itself.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a move you go pressing to address. I think that you can potentially be okay with the guys you have. I think, with a different quarterback, I think it enhances Traquan Smith a little bit. I think it enhances Deontay Harris a lot. I think that, some of the stuff I was saying before about the perfection, I think that maybe that's brought back a little bit. And for a guy like Traquan, he's had some issues throughout his career, detailing his routes, getting the splits right, having everything be, on the dime, precise, chiseled the same every single time, mechanical. And you take that away, and I think it helps him be a better player. It accentuates him a little bit. And I think we saw some of that last year when Taysom was the quarterback. His numbers went up in those games, and he became a little bit more productive, on a week-by-week basis. Whereas with Drew, it was kind of like he's good one week, disappears for 4, he's good another week. And I think all these things, if in the perfect scenario of everything coming together the absolute best way, that there's enough there. Now, again, I would address it if you could. I just don't think that it's something that I go, man, they don't have Emmanuel Sanders. Like, I don't know how this team's going to win games. I don't think it's at that point yet. But look, the quarterback's got to be good. If you're at a point where you need your wide receivers to make all the plays, and I just don't think that's.
Yeah.
I don't know how good they're going to be if you're looking at it like Emmanuel Sanders is changing the dynamics of how the offense operates. And that's not a knock on Emmanuel Sanders. I thought he was really good last year. I think he'd still be good. I think you're a better team, but I just don't think you fall all the way down because of that move.
Yeah. I think I agree with your take. I'm just a little. I guess the thing that concerns me a little bit is like the cumulative of amount of things that have changed, right? Like I'm super worried about the interior O-line, like, which you would like to think that they won't be worse than they were last year. I mean, they're not going to add anyone else there. You got to roll with what you got there, right? So that's one position. The tight end position is probably not as good. You got some questions there, which is like, I think it's a pretty big deal, right? I mean, Adam Troutman is the only.
You think it's good? Like, okay, overall, yeah, it's a top.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they only have one rookie who had like 300 yards, 176 or something. I forget, you told me. Yeah, so he's the only tight end. Then Mike Thomas is the only proven wide receiver, right? So it's like, I don't know. I just think, and then you got a new quarterback who may or may not be good, and I don't know. So it's just. I guess I have a lot of questions, right? And I don't know if I think it's kind of got to play out yet. And in the Saints' defense,
there should be a lot of questions. I mean, it's a whole new era of you know.
And I think that's what it is. I think that's my concern. It's like, I just don't know yet. And in the Saints' defense, I need to give them time to finish their offseason. Like, free agency, I don't even know if free agency has officially started. Like, with this tampering thing got me all messed up, right? But they deserve the right to have this thing play out and us evaluate the state of the team once they went through free agency and draft. But right now, I do think there's some small concerns there.
I mean, I think there's a lot of small concerns that should raise like a bigger overall concern. And yeah, I mean, I think absolutely, if you keep everything around the quarterback stronger, like it makes you feel better about the idea of replacing Breeze. I just think, you're talking about 700 yards. Like, I think you can find 700 yards somewhere. And I guess that's kind of where I look at it. But I guess if you're trying to find 700 there, you're trying to find 500 at tight end. I mean, that's 1,200 yards of offense or whatever out the door. And
healthy Mike, right? That's like, that's 1,200 right there.
But I think, if you look at last year's team, it's like they were pretty good and they didn't have Mike Thomas.
That's crazy.
Like you're getting Mike Thomas back.
Yeah.
If Traquan fits better with either one of these quarterbacks, I think he fits better with Taysom. If he fits better with Jameis, if he fits the same way with Jameis as he did with Taysom, and you can get 60 yards out of him every game, like that's really good for him. I don't know if you're gonna get that, but if he becomes 50, 60 yards, that's what he was with Taysom though. Like it looked like in the games where they were actually able to, operate again, small sample, same team, maybe you're beating up on a good matchup. But if you can get 40, 50 yards out of Taysom, you get 60, it's outstanding. I don't think that's going to happen, but could he become a 700-yard guy? I don't know, but like maybe he fits with someone a little bit better. You get a couple big plays out of him, and then all of a sudden, that number gets closer. Deontay, you unlock him a little bit. That covers up some of it. I still would like a better, more consistent, known commodity there. But if for some reason they strike out, again, I just don't know if. I think there's a scenario where they get through it, and it's just really dependent on. If the quarterback eliminates those mistakes, I think these other guys become a little bit better. His home run ability, again, it's a couple plays a year, but those couple plays a year can, Deontay, hits 4 home runs. That's, 250 yards for him or something. So, I mean, very, very quickly you can rack up those numbers when you can throw the ball deep. And, Jameis obviously can do it. Taysom can. So, I don't know. We'll see. It is something that, again, if they can address it, I would. But I think that I would rank, for instance, cornerback number 1, and it'd be a huge drop to my next thing that I would be super worried about.
So what would you rank higher on the need, wide receiver or tight end? I would probably say tight end personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just on the basis of like you need another one, period.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. All right. So let's do some quick hitters before we get shut down. So Quan Alexander, he got released. I don't really know if there's much to talk about there. I've read that he may be healthy for training camp, so maybe he's someone they can bring back. But I don't know. I don't really think there's much there. Huh?
December to July on an Achilles.
I was like, man, look, I don't know. I read it somewhere though. I need to look that up though.
That would be a quick turnaround, man.
Yeah, I need to check them deer antlers, see what he rubbed on that Achilles, because something ain't legal. James Hurst, I thought that was a low key important re-signing.
Oh, huge. Yeah. They need that depth on the line. Really, really smart signing. They had to keep someone there. You're injury prone at a lot of those spots.
Mm-hmm.
He's, he can play everywhere. A very, very good signing.
He's a new Senio Clemente, basically. I will say this. He might be the starter. Just watch out. No. I don't know, man. We got to get some better play. Man, the one that hurt me was Hardy signing with the Jets, the 3-year. I think that's a big loss to me. I don't know. I think it's probably more personal than it is practical. But yeah, just I don't know. I thought he was like super elite special teamers, and it sucked to see him go.
Yeah, I think they should have tried to keep him. I think I kind of feel like maybe you're shaking free money. I feel like they should have tried to find it.
Yeah,
you paid JT Gray $2 million. I mean, I think the writing was on the wall then that that was the direction they were going. Like, how much can you spend on your gunners? When you're in this situation. But yeah, I mean, I think they should have tried to find it. He's top tier, and I think great teammate, all that stuff. I think they're gonna miss him. I really do.
Yeah,
Callaway's a good gunner. Maybe that plays a part in it. But like this guy, he's different.
He's one of them dudes, man. Yeah. He's like potential like Hall of Fame talent special teamer. And I'm not saying he's gonna be a Hall of Fame. I'm just saying like when he's like healthy and when he's playing, like his play reflects like the best in the NFL at what he does. So it's a big loss. Trey Hendrickson got pizzade. How did you feel about them not even trying to, I guess from what it seems, not even trying to engage in re-signing him?
Well, I mean, look, he was going to get paid what he was going to get paid, and I'll watch and see if he ever gets anywhere near the sack total that he was at. He got paid for that sack total, and look, it's not a knock.
Yeah,
we talked about this before. I think he made the most of his opportunities. The thing is, you aren't creating matchups for other guys. And I think when you're paying somebody $15 million, that's what he got, right? $15 million a year. I think it was something like that.
15 million a year.
When you're paying someone that much money, your $15 million player better make your $2 and $3 million players better. And I don't think he's going to do that. And
that's a good point.
If go find it, it seems like the Bengals are spending a lot of money to try to jumpstart their defense, and teams in those situations, they got to spend that money. And good for Trey. I hope that he's 13 sacks every single season. But if you're in the situation the Saints are, you got a good team, you don't have a ton of money, I'd be willing to find out if he can be that somewhere else. And if he is, you made a mistake, but I don't feel like there's going to be that high level of regret coming from here.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if he sees. I want to say that. That's going to sound bad, but
I don't want to disrespect the guy. It's just it is what it is. I think he had the best season of his career.
Easily. Like times 3, right? And he had it at the perfect time. But that would be a signing that would probably I'll probably be a little scared.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd be scared to give him money.
Like, I know his floor. Trey's floor scares me.
It's really low. Yeah, and the ceiling is not that high neither, right? He's a low floor, low ceiling guy, but I mean, he does some things where he plays through contact really well, which that's important if you're going to be a good pass rusher. He has a good motor. He's pretty good with his hands when he can keep offensive tackles off his hands, and he plays with power. So he plays with power more so than twitch. So those are some of the things that he's good at. But I think you said it best when you said that. Can your $15 million a year pass rusher make your $2 and $3 million a year pass rusher good? And yeah, I wish I'd have thought of that, because that's a good point. So all right, man. Let's see. Do you want to try to get a couple of questions in here? I know I've seen some people. I've read it a few times. So if you guys got some questions, just drop it down there. But I know one question I saw earlier that'll be good for Nick is, how do you think, with Drew, and Drew's Hall of Fame, we're not gonna say anything bad about Drew, and you guys understand that. But with him gone, how do you think it affects them maybe drafting some speed more now? You think it opens up some of the opportunities for guys that may be looking to draft versus before, where you didn't want to draft a Brandon Cooks type player with Drew Brees because he wasn't going to be able to get the most out of him. So,
Traquan's like a 4.4 guy, and they drafted him with Drew. So he was look that up. I think he was 4.46. So I don't know if it changes that so much. Maybe you'd be willing to draft a straight burner, that doesn't do a lot of intermediate stuff, maybe a little bit differently than you did previously. But I don't know if it changes the profile that much, because it's not like you're drafting slow wide receivers, right? I mean, there aren't a lot of draftable wide receivers that are running 4.7. It's 4.4, 4.5 guys, and I just kind of think that profile still hits. But yeah, maybe if there's that 4.2 freak, maybe you look at him a little bit differently than you would with Brees at quarterback.
Traquan ran a 4.49.
4.49. All right, so I mean that's fast. That's not a slow guy. That's a guy that can get the thing is with him is in college. I believe coming out that year, he was the number 1 guy on deep routes.
He was
in college football, and it's kind of you were drafted not to do that here. So I think that there's an element in his game that's going to get unlocked. And I just threw this one up there, Aunt Marshall. I did the scroll. Send me a DM on Twitter. You won the annual plan that Brennan donated to us. So there you go.
In your face, Kendrick Washington.
I'm going to need an email with your name in it to verify that you're the actual person. So someone don't try to steal this.
Yeah. That's right. Let's see. This is a good one. I mean, obviously, if they can get Gerald Everett, I can take those some. I think if you can get Gerald Everett, then that'd be really good. He's a pretty good tight end. I'm not the tight end market is not great right now. So, I think it's likely that they kind of just go into the season with Troutman maybe as the number one. And I guess that's what it's looking like right now. And like I said, they're squeezed this year, so it's not like they have a lot of options, So you got a look on your face, man.
I just read a wild comment that said Russell Wilson sucks. No, he doesn't.
Ooh, got a Chicago Bear fan in here.
I'm sorry, Phil. No, I definitely disagree with that. I think Russell's like a top tier quarterback, and I think Russell with Sean would even like I think he can take his game to even like another level.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought about. Oh gosh, this thing is scrolling. I can't get a hold to it.
I respect like the varying opinions. Like it is what it is. I strongly disagree with the one though.
Yeah, me too.
Ertz?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for the right price, sure. I mean, look, they need something else at that position. I think having like a veteran guy around that could also help tutor Troutman. I think that would be beneficial. If you aren't leaning on Ertz all the way for that number one production, I think that helps too. So if you got to go by committee, aging guy, bring him in. Yeah, I think that he would check a lot of boxes. So yeah, I could get with that.
Yeah, I'd be cool with it as long as the price is right. The contract is a little weird. I think he has like he's like 8.75 million is what he's owed this year. So, that number doesn't work. And with an older guy who doesn't move, he's never been like this guy who's twitched up, who moves really well. So, yeah, I'd just be a little interested in. I just wonder if he'd be the guy. So, but I mean, he's definitely, he's a smart player. He knows how to run. He runs like really good routes. He knows how to use the athleticism he has to get open. He's not as good as. No, what's the guy that played for Dallas all those years, the tight end? Jason Witten. Yeah, he's not as good as Jason Witten, but he's kind of like the guy who wasn't super athletic, but like manages to be really productive. So yeah. You just figure something fancy out, man.
Yeah, the chat up there while we're doing this.
Yeah, you just figure something out. I'm over here looking like, what's going on? Cook let go because of cost, or are they not happy with?
He had a $8 million roster bonus that was due, so they had to cut him before that became due. Like, there's no way they were ever going to pay that. So I think it's cost them probably inconsistency. I think it's probably a little bit of both. And like again, I said it before, if you can bring Cook back at like a very, very cheap price, I would do it. Just a super cheap price, if there's an opportunity there, absolutely. But yeah, at that top of the level, his production, I think, Cook talked all last year about how he wasn't happy. So
yeah,
with the way he was playing himself. So yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, it's not even like a real cut. So it's just kind of like a mandatory cut. So, hey, you guys, I'm gonna step in for Nick here. Nick is probably working on an article on your new fullback, or he's prepared to, because the minute the guy got signed, Nick is tweeting out film of him, making these spectacular plays. So, you guys,
I watched him a little bit, Alex Arma. He didn't catch a ton of passes. He caught some. I thought his blocking ability in the pass game stood out. I thought he picked things up really well. In the run game, he made a lot of good plays. Willing gets out there. I saw him take on two guys on one block on a 9-yard gain, lead the way on some touchdowns. He's fast for his size. Like, he can get down the field, and he does some stuff like effort wise, lay a block, try to get down, and then pick up the safety. Like, he's making the effort, and I'm not saying he succeeds at that every time, but the effort there and the speed's there that it's reasonable. So I like him. I think that he can probably add an element of athleticism to that position. And, I think you watch him, it's a fullback, right? But I mean, I think quickly you can see why, like, they like him. It's just he's athletic, he's willing, and we'll see how he fits in. Like, Breeze loved the dump down pass to the fullback. We'll see how that element goes in the offense. So, but yeah, I mean, the fullback's always going to be a part of the picture here. And this guy, they ran really well with two different running backs, and he played a part in that. So I'm intrigued by what he's going to add to the position in Carolina. He blocked really well there. So we'll see what he does. But yeah, I liked him on a quick glance of some of the things he was able to do.
All right, guys, we are going to cut it off here. We want to thank everyone who signed up during the pod. Really appreciate you guys. Appreciate the support. We want to thank everyone for showing up. As always, make sure you guys go to NewOrleans.Football/subscribe. There are a few different options there. Pick one that works for you. If you go there right now, you can save some money on the annual plan. So if you're not signed up yet, it's a good opportunity. This is not the off season for us. There is probably going to be, there is going to be more content. So we got a whole lot of stuff coming, a whole lot of things we're excited that we can't talk about yet, but just stick around. Promise you it's coming. It's going to be clean. It's going to be cool. So make sure you guys keep your ear out for that. So you guys go NewOrleans.Football/subscribe, pick a tier. You guys stay safe. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week. We out.